Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I will be walking you through my latest acrylic painting. So let's get started. I have a canvas here which is pre-coated with white gesso. So I'm going to take some Prussian blue and just smudge it over from the top all the way till 3/4 of the canvas, and with the crisscross action just keep on smudging it with the white gesso paint. Keep on giving it a crisscross action and make it blend nicely with the canvas. You can use a pinch of grey and just tap it slowly into the canvas, and with a fatter brush smudge it into the blue and use a bit of white for the highlights on top of it. It's really important to get the color tones right in anything that you do in painting, because that will decide the final outcome of the painting. Paint your mountain with the painting knife. I took a bit of brown, black, and mix them well and give it a mountain shape for the base coat. Use a painting knife, take some white on it, and gently give it a downward action so that you get this glacier like texture on the mountain. It's not really that difficult to make it if you try it once yourself. For this greenery area, I used sap green, or you could use olive green. Mix a bit of crimson as well as black into it, and a little bit of black if the shade is not very dark. And with a fan brush you can make the these trees, these evergreen trees. For the lake, I again mixed white and Prussian blue. You can even use your gesso if you're short of white paint. And with the painting knife, just take a bit of white and give it a stroke right there, so that it not only separates your mountain from the lake but also gives it a very nice highlight. I took a bit of more of black and olive green. This will just act as a base coat for the land that I'm going to be drawing over here. It is very necessary that it is dark in color so that when any light shade falls on top of it, you can work your way through the light shades. Hence, you can notice that whatever shades I'm throwing into the picture, I'm usually taking it dark and then working my way through the lighter portions. You can use a bit of burnt sienna, which is brown, and also black. Mix them well together and make shades of it. That's what I've done for the house. I used a very fine brush and gave it some detailing. A very good tip if you want to show some shadows into the painting is you can take a bit of blue, mix it with white, and then add a bit of brown or burnt sienna into it, and you will notice that it gives you a very rich shadow like effect which will look very professional while you paint. Also notice that I never used plain white in any place. I always mix it with a bit of blue as well as a bit of burnt sienna so that it gives you that vintage feel. If you use white directly on anything, it will just pop out way too much and you won't be able to do any further detailing to it. So always work your way through dark tones and then get to the lighter ones. I made some more evergreen trees because that area was empty and I just wanted to fill in something much more green because much of my painting was shades of brown. You can make how many ever trees you want because this is your painting and you are the creator and you decide what you want to wear. I decided that this painting needed some more trees, actually, way more trees. So I took some black and burnt sienna, mixed them together. Make sure it's a very dark shade of brown because, as I did for the land, so it should be for the trees as well. Start with the darker shades. I then started detailing the tree with branches. Spend some time and give it much more detail. The more the branches, the better it will look in the final outcome. The key is to have patience and just go for it. Spend some time with your painting so that once it's done, people can appreciate the detail that you have put into it. And painting is all about that. It's all about the finer details and elements that you can add to your painting that make it pop out or make it different from the others. If you are very new to drawing branches, I would recommend you to look up some pictures of trees and try to study the branches and how branches work because branches are very difficult to predict. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some are twisted, some are straight. Some have these very weird outward extrusions. I added another small tree in front of the house because a tree would look good in front of a house, why not? And it would also give a bit of greenery once I'm done with the leaves. I added a bit of white and Prussian blue, more of white and little bit of Prussian blue. And I edited the highlights that I gave to the mountain because I realized that the blue was too dominant. So now you can notice that the mountain looks much more realistic. I added like another tree because the left side of the painting was looking uneven and incomplete. You can notice that I kept on making fine changes to the trees so that I can just add more detail and spend my time detailing the trees. This is one of the most fun parts of the painting. You get to add details. And trust me, details in painting are very necessary. It's very necessary to know how much paint you have on your brush. Once you get that connection with your brush and you know how much paint is there, you will not make basic mistakes like overdoing something or getting a branch too fat or too thin. That wouldn't happen again. Or even getting your paint watery for that matter. I used a bit of yellow ochre, burnt sienna, and brown, and also a bit of white, and I gave the trees a highlight. You can even use blue and white, and also a bit of brown, like I told you for the mountains. You can even use a bit of blue and brown, like I told you for the roof of the house, and give some shadows to the trees. This color will always give you a round effect for the trees. It will give you that depth to your trees. You can do the same with all the branches. This process is a bit difficult or a bit tiring since you already did the branches once and now you have to like redo it again, but trust me, the outcome will be very good. Keep on adding finer details, more shadows, more highlights. This is why you used a very dark shade of burnt sienna at the start of the painting so that you could add much more finer details into it and just add highlights and shadows and just make the painting pop even more. The trick is to use the right color shades in the right places and the right strokes with your brush. Once you learn that, every painting will be just fun to do. I can use the same paint that I used for the highlights of the trees, just mixed a bit more of burnt sienna into it. Burnt sienna, black, and a tinge of white into it, and made the pathway for the house. I used a fine brush, and with black paint I just made a stroke. I made 2 strokes down the road so that it looks like it's an old road with some crossings over it. You can even use the bluish shade that I have told before and give it a few strokes here and there. I finally started to color my tree, make some beautiful leaves for it. I used a fan brush and the same green that I used for the evergreen trees, which is olive green and black, and a bit of Prussian blue sometimes. And you can start with that shade and then after give it some highlights with a mixture of green and yellow, which is olive green and yellow. And then I use that same color for the grass as well. Note that the green that I've used for the grass is very dull. I did this by using olive green, a bit of white, a bit of black, as well as some bit of yellow, which will give you this very Renaissance like feeling to the painting. It will give you this very vintage look. I used a fan brush so that the work is made easy. You can even do this with a flat bristle brush, but that will take much more time. I used the fan brush again to give in the leaves and paint in the other portions of the tree. Note that I always start with a darker shade for anything. Let it be the trees, let it be the pathway, let it be the grass on the ground. I've always started with the dark shade and then worked my way into the lighter shades. Also, one very important thing to note while you're painting is decide the position from where your sunlight is coming. You can see in my painting the sunlight is from right to left. Hence, you can see all the highlights are on the right and all the shadows on the left. It works that way for the mountains, for the grass, and everything in between. I started detailing the grass with a few flowers and also a different type of grass. You can add these small elements here and there. I purposely repainted the ground a bit dark so that I could put light highlights on top of it in the form of grasses and other things. Notice how just a few strokes can make something look so professional and so detailed. Trust me, while you're doing this, isn't very difficult. I took some yellow and green, more of yellow and a little bit of green, and started detailing the flowers that are near the house. And this instantly gave a very good look to the painting. I started highlighting the trees. You keep on adding more of yellow to your green and you'll get a good highlight shade. I was even highlighting the evergreen trees that were near the mountain since I already had my shade of green and yellow ready. Always while you're painting, don't overdo the highlights because that can cost your painting a lot. You will miss out on the green that was already there and that will affect your painting. I also noticed that the highlights on the main tree that was there in front and it was grabbing too much attention. So I decided to give it a shade of dark brown again, that was burnt sienna and black, and I redid the highlights. I reduced the highlights this time so that it doesn't distract you from the entire painting. And I then went back to giving highlights to my leaves on the trees. While I was doing this, I kind of overdid it, but we all make mistakes. I also highlighted the other portion of the trees and drew in a few pebbles here and there in the water so that it gives you a more realistic feel. Also, I used a fine brush and gave it a few strokes with white so that your water is much more evident. Trust me, you can draw any detail, whatever amount of detail that you want to make your painting look realistic. You can even throw in a boat over there. Painting is all about creating. While you are painting, you are the creator and you get to decide what you want to get to your painting. And that's the most beautiful part about painting. I hope that you like the process of my painting. It took me 3 days and more than 15 to 20 hours to do this, but every bit of it was worth it. When you look at the final outcome, you are nothing but pleased and just happy for whatever you have done. And being happy is the main thing while you're painting. I don't paint a lot, but whenever I do, I make sure that I have fun. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and also give this video a like. If you have any suggestions or any questions, you can mention it in the comment section below and I will answer it as soon as possible. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned.